Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay everyone, let me introduce my group. My name is Ardian Shah. As speaker 1, I will explain about what is good teaching, and then the second one is Desi Suryani. As the speaker 2, she will explain about an approaches to the teaching, closing reading, textual analysis and interpretation. Okay everyone, I am going to explain about what is good teaching. Teaching and good teaching. As a teachers, we may find this question strongly difficult to answer. It is just what is in the lectures, classes, seminar, workshop, tutorial, by telephone and teaching text, website and online, etc. We study literary text and movements, theoretical and critical works, performance and so forth, analysis and discussing them with our students. We try to help our students become better at expressing their ideas and feeling a bit verbally, in writing creatively, remark and assess their work. Okay everyone, let's see the first, the student learning movement. Based on the began in the 19th and 17th centuries, the student learning movement's origins are credited to the Swedish Göteborg School of Academic and Educational Researchers, to work carried out by Franz Merton and his colleges. The second one is Academic Discipline Corps. It is not doubt there is food teaching and be found in our universities, in our emphasis on the formal lectures and on the book learning, perhaps in insufficient attention to way of working that helps students make sense of way they read, hear and see, but to deneglect and diminish the role of the teachers as teachers, or in extreme case generally together. It is no solution. Still, academic discipline are the core business of the university, despite being cornered in some quarters as producing and balkanization of knowledge. Okay everyone. The third is learning and education. Learning and education have said all. There is a sense which is a learning doesn't depend on the teaching, or good and otherwise, as the founders of discipline education and the Britain argued sometimes ago. While of course we are learning things all the time, variety of the context and the others for demonstrate, and then there is a logical relationship between learning and education of the particular form of learning we are talking about here. But there is no such as necessary relationship between learning and teaching. All of students, and perhaps especially those in higher education, may learn without being taught directly from books, films, TV, CD-ROMs, and the internet, and from discussion among themselves, whether face-to-face or in computer conference. And then the next teaching that sets, however, the authors go on to argue that when the teacher and teaching, if they can assist to be teaching at all, they must at least be aimed to create conditions in which learning is possible. Three logical necessary conditions of the central case of teaching activities. First, they must be conducted with the attention of bridging of the learning. The second one is they must indicate or exhibit with it to be learned. The third is they must to do a way which is intelligible to and with in the capacities of the learners. And then discipline process. So, what are the implications of this rather abstract of discuss for the teaching and learning of English lecturers, literature of followers of students' ability to undertaken that the process fundamental to discipline of literary textual analysis of interpretation and evaluation of communication are relatively undeveloped, and why otherwise would they accompany the role of students? Good teaching demands bidang the students should be aware of the central importance of the process, follow knowledge and understanding of literature, and the process should be taught explicit comprehensively and in ways that are intangible, engaging, and provoking, provoking as the teachers, as we try to demonstrate here and in the text chapter with respect the teacher closing reading theory and essay writing. Okay, maybe that's all for me. If I mistake, I'm so sorry. The second presenter is Desi Suryani. If I mistake, I'm so sorry. We can proceed for this time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Ardi. Good afternoon, Ma'am Irma. Good afternoon, my friends. Let me continue the presentation about what is good teachings. And now I would like to take a part about an approach to teaching closely reading textual analysis and interpretation. Well, one of the most deadly defects of the digitally optic nerve is the blindness that it can lead to think that students are being lazy, difficult, or unintelligent when they are really being only inexperienced. More of us live in image world, an icon world, a movie and TV world, an internal world. And even we do still live in a word and print world, we are more likely to see or hear words and print in sound bites form than in literary form. Even students who are only 10 years younger than their youngest teachers will have been raised knows that uh, the full implications of our societies move from a word and print to an image and icon world. That is means discussion of the topic is moving full bore, but there are some obvious implications for teachers. The first one is automatic perceptions. Attending closely to complex, multi-layer, and then self-vocative details arranged in form, a pattern, as in stories, novels, and poems, is not a natural act. What is naturally saving the energy that perception require by learning routine use, shortcut, and automatic screen strategies. The next one is habitualizations. As a teacher and professional reader, you will have work hard to develop your own skills of analysis and responding to literary cues at all high levels of intellectuality. And now you possibly remember little of the difficulty involved in that process between your students' days and now. You have learned to overcome, at least with respect to literary experience, the tendency toward automatic perceptions like what the Russian formalist Viktor Skovsky calls habitualizations, and which he took to be the enemy of arts as well as life, and now you have discovered the joy of paying close attention. The next one is a casebook class on James Joy B. Arbai or Arbi, sorry if I make mistake in pronounce it. In what follow, we present something like a casebook example of close reading based on Joyce's short stories from Dubliners. We have thought this in story many times, and we can report that no matter how simple it may appear to you, our students almost always find it confusing. Now you know that if they read it closely, take it apart into small pieces and reconstructions to its large patterns, it will become clearer to them. But knowing how to help them do this, well, it is of the essence in teaching literature. It's not so easy thing. The next one is pedagogic issues. As regard pedagogy, a number of issues were exemplified or raised in the course of the seminar about how important it is to lead classroom discussion along fruitful lines by asking tightly focused, test-based questions that beginning students are able to respond to, and thereafter to keep the discussion on track to avoid making a discouraging good but response to the students' contributions to shift the focus of questioning if the hopeful response is not made, to limit one's ambitions and so avoid despondency, neither blaming oneself unduly nor students, if the discussion is not brilliant, nor its scope as broad as plain, if the discussion breaks down to consider shifting the pedagogic format. And we talk about engagement in discussion. You may have noticed that the teacher praised every student who spoke, indeed all of them, for helping solve the puzzle, if rather belatedly in Kevin's case, and sometimes perhaps over enthusiastically. There is undoubtedly a tendency for passages such as this to sound rather condescending in print, as writers of distance teaching materials are well aware. And the last one is peer collaboration. Sorry, in the screen you can see the subtitles, but we will talk about peer collaboration. The peer collaboration format is presently sketchily here, but not that the teacher took a firm lead in identifying the topics for discussion and in assigning students to their various groups on the basic convenience of where they happen to be sitting, which was necessary for getting this hastily introduced term underway quickly. Well, I think that's all for our groups. From our groups, I mean, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Ma'am Irma. Thank you, my friends. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.